What's going on, guys? We're on to the second video of this Alex LIFESON, Chris Shiflett interview, guitar player fest video. Part 2. And also the giveaway. If you want to receive one of these, I have 2. Thank you to Dave to send to 2 lucky winners, Rush fans. The Alex LIFESON Henter Sportcaster. Here's how you need to enter for this giveaway. You need to email me at jpanariello@gmail.com. In the subject, you need to write blah blah blah. In the body, you need to send me your name, first name, last initial, your email address. 1 submission per person. Don't email me 20 times. Don't email me 5 times. Don't email me twice. 1 submission per person. Okay? Today is the 20th. You have until the 23rd, like in the morning. Okay? You got until the 23rd to email me that you want to submit for this. I will be announcing on the 24th, 8:30 a.m. video. So make sure, just do it right now. If you didn't do it yesterday, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get it in. Let me know you want one of these, and I will be picking 2 people because there are 2 guitars. Thank you, Dave. 2 people will be getting one. Amazing. All right, part 2 of this interview. Pretty cool. I feel like we're gonna get into some stuff. It's gonna get there. All right, let's do it. Bam.
How old were you when you started playing?
I was 12 years old when I got my first guitar.
Which was what?
65, 66, maybe Christmas 66.
What was your first guitar?
So it was a Kent. It was a Kent acoustic guitar, like a steel string acoustic. It was awful. The strings were about 3 inches above the neck.
You had to really want to play that thing.
Yeah, you had to. And my parents bought it for me for Christmas.
That makes it incredibly difficult
so it was a pretty cheap guitar.
Basically, that's why they're joking about it.
In the 60s, the things were cheaper, but even by those standards, it was a really cheap guitar. So, and then I got in for Christmas in 1967. I don't know. Can you see that one back here in the corner? Can you see that red one?
Yeah.
It's a Kenora. I had it refinished recently.
Ah.
So were you like a real serious guitar student? Were you disciplined when you were learning how to play?
I recall in those very early days playing a lot. When I came home from school, I always played. I loved playing, and I loved learning songs, and that was always a challenge, learning songs, because I couldn't read music. I could read music. I was taking viola in high school, but
it's not the same.
Not that way.
Yeah, it's not the same.
And I just learned by ear. But I think when we started the band and started getting a little more serious about playing and practicing and rehearsing, then I couldn't stop playing. I would come home from school and I would just pick up my guitar, play till dinner, have dinner, and then play until I went to sleep at 11 o'clock every day. I couldn't get enough. So,
do you remember the moment you learned your first lead guitar lick? Like the moment you went from I'm playing cowboy chords to Chuck Berry stuff or whatever it was.
I don't know if I can remember the first time I actually learned a guitar solo, but I do recall figuring out a solo and finally learning it well enough to play it all the way through. And that was the solo from Spoonful for Cream from the first album. And it's a long solo, but I had it on, my sister's record player. She had one of those little record players. And I just put the record on and played it over and over and played along. Sometimes I put the speed down a little bit and try to listen to the more closely to the structure. But I recall playing it for a friend of mine who came over, and I played it without making a mistake. Well, I think that's the way I remember it. Anyways, but it was like it happened yesterday. I mean, I can feel the room, and it was sunny, and it was a summer day, and it was in the late afternoon. Like everything I remember about it, the green couch that my parents had in that TV room, sitting there by the record.
The world shifted on its axis a little bit.
Well, you know what it's like with guitar. You sort of, you get to a level, and it seems like you stay at that level forever. This is when you're beginning, forever and ever. And then suddenly you go up a notch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like you wake up one day.
And then you're on that level forever and ever and ever. And then you go up another notch. It's a very gradual process, I think, for you to develop your skills and your confidence more than anything. I've never felt super confident in my playing. I always felt like I could be better than I was.
Sure.
And I think that's a good thing. It forces you to work harder at it. But I've always been a little insecure about my playing. And I feel...
Even through the years of, like, once you were a successful musician that people worshipped and looked up to and copied your style?
Yeah, even more
I
so.
can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because people like Eddie Van Halen were coming out.
I can really play.
You know, and it's just like...
It drove me to try harder and harder and harder.
Because he wasn't that kind of guitar player.
I think now,
it's not that he's bad at all. It's just different.
I try to play pretty much every day, and I play a lot of acoustic now. I don't play as much electric as I used to. I just love playing with alt tunings and goofing around with acoustics and capos and things like that.
You should do a record like that. That's very cool.
And I feel like
why not?
I'm more
Fuck it.
myself. I'm more of the guitar player I think I am, even though I'm slowed down. I don't play as fast. I don't play that kind of stuff very much anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a funny thing when you listen back to old recordings. I was listening to a demo my band in high school made not too long ago, and I think across the board I'm a much better guitar player now. That was a long time ago, but I couldn't even begin to play what I was playing back then. It was so fast.
Yeah, well, that was the thing then too. This is the fastest gun in town.
Yeah,
and a lot of the players, like Alvin Lee, for example, it was just pure speed. So that set a standard, and you tried to get up to that standard without faking it or fluffing through it. The right hand gets going really fast, and it sounds like the left hand is as fast.
Right.
It generally isn't.
Right. You learn some of those tricks. Like, well, you don't actually have to pick every note. You just pick every other one. And it's just, I think the great breakthrough for me was realizing at a certain point, because I know exactly what you mean about that feeling of insecurity about, you see other guitar players and you're like, that guy's the real deal. I'm not the real deal. That's the real deal, Yeah. But you eventually realize that, like, most casual music fans don't know or care because it's not like they're not judging it on that. You know what I mean? It's like it's an emotional reaction. Yeah.
Like a lot of times people ask me, every show must be so great. And the reality is that on a tour of maybe 80 dates, there are 2 or 3 shows that you would say, that was a really good show. We really nailed it that night. All those other nights, they're good, but there was something that, didn't feel quite right, or it wasn't quite in the pocket, all 3 of us, or there was
this
a
is
train
something
wreck
that Rush fans will never
admit. We had
admit.
some massive train wrecks.
Every show was
excellent. With our music, if you got lost, it was hard to get back. And Neil, Neil's monitors were all drums. He had a little bit of vocal.
That's wild.
A touch of
That's
bass,
wild.
I think. I don't think he had any guitar in his monitors.
That's the most drummer thing I've ever heard.
It's more than that. That's kind of more than
they're
that.
All like that.
The difference between your live rig in 1978
and play with everybody
1998 must have been extreme.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And we were always sort of on the cutting edge of technology. We were totally into it. We wanted to get the new best stuff, or at least work with it, try it out.
Did that lead to like some of the like fail moments that you're talking about, like something going wrong?
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. There were lots of moments where stuff would just cut out or wouldn't work, period. I think in the very beginning I had a distortion box and a wah-wah, and that was kind of all that was available for effects. But once we started touring, in the early days, it was pretty much, I had a phase shifter, a Maestro phase shifter. I don't know if you know that one. It was a really cool little phase pedal. It was almost like a box, It was about this big on the floor. But as things progressed and we got to the mid 70s, and that jazz chorus, that Roland jazz chorus, came on market, and I was just blown away by how that sounded. I used to sit in the studio in Rockfield when we were making A Farewell to Kings. I would just sit in front of that amp, and it was stereo, and it sounded, I'd never heard anything so creamy and beautiful. And I got addicted to it, and I used the chorus on a lot of records. And when I listen to some of those records now, for example, we just re-released Signals, and I listened to it, and it's just chorus all the time. And I would never do that now.
Right.
But back then, I just loved the way that sounded. Andy Summers, another one who's, almost exclusively chorus pedal on his sound.
Would you bring that amp out with you in addition to whatever else you're playing, High Watts or Marshalls or whatever? Or did it just become that?
Well, the Boss chorus pedal followed soon after that. So that was in the studio with that amp. It was a new thing. So I got the chorus pedal, and that was the original chorus pedal. It's, quite large. I still have it in my drawer, the original pedal from 1976. Yeah.
Cool.
Does it still work?
I can get it if you want it. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure,
no,
it works. Yeah,
great.
right. Yeah. Why not?
But it's so much easier now just hitting a plug-in when you're sitting here working away.
Yeah.
But, and then after that, all of those digital delays and every multi-effects unit in the world came out, and now I had a rack that was very complicated and but fun. And I loved it looking back at it when we were on stage and seeing all those little flashing lights in a dark stage was pretty cool.
It's like Battlestar Galactica or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like all guitar players have what I think of as your guitar store lick. Like when you pick up a guitar you've never played before, you have no idea how the neck feels or the action or anything. Like you have like a couple of things that we all do to sort of test it out, see how it feels in your hands. Do you have one of those that you could demo for us?
Oh, actually I don't, but generally if I'm just checking a guitar, I pick it up and I start playing some lead stuff, just... Or this.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That's what I was looking for right there.
Yeah. And just to hear the sustain on an E chord.
Generally speaking, when you're in the studio and you're putting together a solo, what's your approach? Do you come in with it kind of written out and prepared, or do you just noodle till you find the magic?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think I work quite differently from a lot of people. I will work on some solos, but I would say by far I like to leave it until the day. And typically I don't do more than about 5 takes. I find that those first 5 takes,
it's like diminishing returns after that,
are the most pure takes for me. Yeah. Where I'm just not thinking about what I'm playing, and I'm just playing. I'm caught up with what I'm hearing and how I apply the solo to what the bass, when I say bass, I mean B-A-S-E, of the song is. The structure of the song, the tonality, the emotion, all of that stuff. I'll listen to it numerous times before I actually play a single note when we're doing solos. And then I'll do those 5 takes, and I find after that, I start repeating myself. And I know part of it is trying to find a structure and develop a structure. Yeah. But at the same time, I just get bored with it. I'm impulsive when it comes to that sort of thing. Geddy's the opposite. He really has to hear everything wrong before he knows it's right. So he'll spend hours and hours and hours doing stuff. I like to spend minutes doing stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're about to get into some good stuff. I chopped it up so I know what's about to happen. Cool conversations about this process of recording guitar solos, and I mean, I haven't listened to the whole thing, you know, I only was trying to find places to cut, you know. I know I heard like so I knew it was going to cut somewhere around here, and I know where it's going to start, obviously, but I don't know anything after that. Yeah, this whole, I think what he's about to get into is talking about, you know, aside from just like overall him recording, you know, guitar solos and going through, and next he's going to talk about Geddy would comp it. He would comp the solos, and this is part of what I used to do like crazy, and I can do really well, which is comping really good solos. Which, what does that mean? That means he's recording 5 takes of guitar solos, and then you're listening through the 5, you're finding, here's what I would do. You're listening through the 5, you're going to find one that's like the strongest, the best, has the most good stuff in it. And that's your bass, B-A-S-E. That's your bass. And then you're going to go through the other 4, and you're going to find the amazing licks, just the magic. You're looking for the magic in all of it. You're trying to make just one magical take, because even Alex Lifeson, as he's going to get into in Limelight, right, is not just recording that guitar solo like that. He's not just playing that. He did play it, but not all in one take. It's comped. Okay? It was created in the studio, basically, right? So, I really like when you hit this note, and then we're going to cut that out, and we're going to fly it into the bass track. Okay? B-A-S-E, track. I really like this part. This ending, the ending that you did on take 2 is just freaking phenomenal. We're going to take that and we're going to fly that in. We're going to cut that and we're going to put that in. And then you listen to it as a whole. You know, you do all your comps, right? That's what comping is. You do all your comps, and then you listen to it as a whole, and you're just like, that's fantastic. That's how it's done. You know, that's how it's done. Okay, and that's just, I mean, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. You know, not everybody is, you know, some insane jazz. To me, not doing that means it's like jazz. You know, like that's why to me jazz. That's why I went to study jazz, because I feel like if you could play jazz, you could play freaking anything. You could play anything. The discipline and the craft is just so difficult, you know, and precise, but yet not, you know, it's also loose and just improvisational, obviously, that, you know, to be really good at jazz, then you could play anything. I love jazz. I love jazz musicians. I love, you know, that style, that approach. You know, I love improvising. It's just great. And I you know, while I'm not a jazz player in that kind of way, I'm in no way good enough of a soloist, you know, at all. But that approach has helped me play everything else, really. Anyways, yeah, he's about to get into comping and doing the solos in the studio, and that's really cool. That's cool about the gear, you know, like that all makes sense. This is a bit of gear talk. That's cool. So anyways, very cool. Very cool interview so far. All right, the giveaway, right? That's why we're doing this, among other reasons. If you want one of these, which I have 2, thanks to Dave, you must submit. We have assumed control. Okay, anyways. Email me, jpanreadsemail@gmail.com. In the subject, write blah, blah, blah. In the body, you need to send me your name and your email address, and 1 submission per person. Okay? I will be reading on the 24th, announcing. I'll be announcing on the 24th, 8:30 a.m. video. So be there. Just submit already if you haven't. Jesus Christ, okay? Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I'll catch you later.